The music was loud. The crowd was buzzing. Someone had just opened a fresh bottle of tequila when it happened. She slapped me hard across the face. And the entire backyard froze. 20 people, maybe more. Coworkers, neighbors, a couple of her girlfriends pretending not to enjoy the scene. And him, the one with the smug smile and a tooth I was about to knock loose. That's how my marriage ended. Not in court. Not in therapy. Not even in bed with someone else. It ended right there, with her hand across my cheek and my fist flying through the air. It was a Friday night. My wife, Vanessa, had begged me to go to her coworker's birthday party. The guy's name was Tyler, some mid-level sales manager at her company, the kind who treated his backyard like a nightclub and his job like a throne. I didn't want to go. I just wrapped a long week at the dealership. I sell trucks for a living, and this month's quotas were brutal. I was running on fumes. But Vanessa? She had energy to spare. She spent 2 hours getting ready. 3 outfit changes. Makeup like she was prepping for a magazine cover. She walked out of the bathroom in a short, backless red dress I hadn't seen since our honeymoon phase. I remember raising an eyebrow. You trying to turn heads or start a fight? I joked. She didn't laugh. Didn't even smile. Just looked me up and down. Maybe try not dressing like you're on your third divorce, she said flatly. Then grabbed her purse and walked out the door. I should have stayed home. The party was already in full swing when we got there. Drinks flowing, music pounding, Tyler holding court by the grill like he was some kind of backyard celebrity. 5 minutes in, Vanessa disappeared. I wound up in a folding chair between Tyler's cousin, who wouldn't shut up about Bitcoin, and some girl I didn't know talking about her dog's gluten allergy. I kept scanning the yard for my wife. Then I saw her, back by the patio lights, leaning in close to a guy I didn't recognize. He was tall, fit, sleeveless tee that showed off his arms, the kind of guy who only goes to the gym for the mirror. Vanessa was laughing. That laugh, fake, exaggerated. The one she used when she was trying to make someone feel special. Her hand touched his bicep. Lingering. Slow. My stomach sank. I walked up casually. Calm face, racing heart. Hey, Vanessa, I said, forcing a smile. Aren't you gonna introduce me? She turned like she just remembered I existed. Oh, yeah. This is Shane. He works security. At my building. Shane grinned and offered a handshake. We've been getting close, he said. Your wife's got a serious work ethic. Real firecracker. His grip was firm. I squeezed harder. Good to hear, I said. Vanessa rolled her eyes. God, you're so awkward. That's when it clicked. It wasn't just flirting. It wasn't just some dumb party mistake. They knew each other. Well, the way she touched his arm. The way she didn't pull away. The way he looked at me like I was the one interrupting something. She was cheating. I didn't need phone records. I didn't need GPS tracking or suspicious receipts. It was all right there in how she looked through me. I walked away. Tried to cool off. 10 minutes later, I walked back into the house to grab a water. That's when I saw them in the kitchen. His hand was on her lower back. Her fingers tracing the neckline of his shirt. I lost it. Vanessa, I said loudly. We need to talk. Now. She turned around slowly, like I was a buzzing fly in her drink. Not now. We're having a conversation. You're my wife, I snapped. You can have your conversation after you explain what the hell this is. She smiled. Too sweet. Too fake. And then she slapped me. Open palm. Right across the face. The sound cracked through the music like a rifle shot. People turned. One girl gasped. Someone dropped a red Solo cup. And Shane? He just stood behind her grinning, like he'd just won something. I didn't hesitate. I stepped around Vanessa and drove my fist into his mouth. He hit the counter hard. Blood. Gagging. His hand flew to his face as a clean white tooth bounced onto the floor. The room exploded. Screams. Shouting. Someone yelled, "Call the cops." Vanessa's mouth dropped open. What is wrong with you? I turned to her. Calm. Focused. You just slapped your husband in front of half your coworkers to impress a guy with a protein shake for a personality, I said. That's what's wrong. She didn't answer. Just stood there, stunned. Her lipstick smudged. Her hands shaking. I walked out. Didn't say another word. Didn't look back. Just got in my truck and drove. No music. No GPS. Just the sound of my pulse pounding in my ears and the growing understanding that I had just crossed a line I could never uncross. The slap wasn't just anger. It was contempt. It was her way of saying, I don't respect you anymore. I've moved on. You're nothing now. But she didn't know who she was dealing with. The next time she saw me, It wasn't going to be as the man begging for answers. It was going to be as the man ending the story for good. I didn't go home that night. Didn't want to see her clothes on the floor, her shoes by the door, the little signs that said this was once a marriage. I drove until the streets were empty and the gaslight came on, then parked outside the all-night diner on 17th, the one with flickering neon and a waitress who always looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. I sat there, staring at nothing. My face still throbbed. My knuckles were bleeding. But inside, I was hollow. At 3:12 a.m., I called my brother, Derek. He picked up on the second ring. Groggy voice. You good? No, I said. She hit me. Pause. In front of people. Then I hit the guy she's been sleeping with. I think this has been going on for months. Another pause. Then, you at home? No. Diner on 17th. I'm coming to get you. Don't go back there tonight. Derek lived in a 2-bedroom apartment above a hardware store. Nothing fancy, but it was safe. It was real. He didn't ask questions when I showed up with bruises and silence. Just handed me a beer and flipped on some late-night sports rerun. We didn't speak for hours. But when I finally told him everything, he just nodded. She's garbage, he said. Been saying that since last Christmas when she forgot your birthday. The crazy thing is, I'd forgotten that. All the little slights. The micro cuts. Her pulling away. The way she used to light up when I got home, gone, replaced with sighs and silence. It hadn't started at that party. That was just the reveal. The next morning, I went home. Quiet. Controlled. Not to talk. Not to argue. To gather evidence. She wasn't there. But her purse was. So was her laptop. She used to say, I don't believe in privacy between spouses. That line echoed as I opened her computer. No password. She really didn't think I'd ever look. I opened her email first. Nothing at first glance. Just work updates and newsletters. But then I saw the folder, personal tucked under a different alias. Her full maiden name. Inside, dozens of emails, photos, screenshots, voice memos, and a name. Not Shane. Dylan W. She changed his name in her contacts. Of course she did. Smart enough to cheat. Dumb enough to leave a trail. I clicked on the most recent thread. Last night was insane. I still taste you on me. I wish we could freeze time. Just us. He's so predictable. It's almost funny. Tyler's party is perfect. Let's embarrass him a little. He's too clueless to notice. That last one stopped me cold. Let's embarrass him a little. I was a joke. A prop in their little secret theater. Not just a man being betrayed, a man they were playing. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just sat there, absorbing every line of filth. Every can't wait to see you again message. Every compliment she'd never said to me anymore. She sent him pictures from our bathroom. From our bed. Even one from a booth at Applebee's, where we had our first anniversary. The woman I married wasn't just unfaithful. She was deliberate. Proud. Smug. Her sister knew. Her best friend knew. Even her spin instructor chimed in on a group chat about how Brian has no idea what a bad B** TCH she is. It wasn't just an affair. It was a game. And I'd been the punchline. 2 hours later, she walked in. Still wearing sunglasses inside like she was dodging paparazzi. Coffee in hand. Oh, you're home, she said like I was the inconvenience. Did you sleep somewhere like a little drama queen? I didn't say a word. Just turned her laptop toward her. One of the emails still glowing on the screen. She froze mid-sip. Her lip curled, but her hands? They were still. I'm curious, I said. Which excuse are you going with? Photoshop? Hacker? It's your move, Vanessa. She set the coffee down. Took you long enough, she said. No guilt. Just tired annoyance. I figured you'd never grow a pair in check. I stared at her. How long? She shrugged. 4 months. Maybe 5. Time blurs when you're not dead inside. Why am? Another shrug. He listens. He's fun. He doesn't walk through the door every night smelling like car grease and disappointment. There it was. The contempt. Not just for what I did, but who I was. She didn't say she was sorry. Didn't say she was struggling. Just that I was boring. You think that gives you the right to humiliate me? I asked. She smiled. A cruel little smirk. No. But it gave me the reason. I didn't scream. Didn't throw anything. I just stood up, went to the hall closet, and pulled out the suitcase I hadn't used since my buddy's wedding in Arizona. She laughed. Oh, come on. You're really doing the dramatic exit? No, I said, zipping it shut. I'm doing the logical thing. Leaving before I forget who I am. Where are you going to go? She asked, still smirking. To peace. She leaned on the doorway like she was still in control. You'll be back. You always come crawling back. I paused, looked her in the eye. Not this time. And I walked out. The next 7 days were a fog. I crashed at Derek's. Ate when I remembered. Slept when I could. My knuckles turned purple from the punch. I didn't care. I replayed everything on a loop. The slap, the messages, her voice calling me dead inside. It played in my head like a podcast I couldn't unsubscribe from. By day 4, the rage settled. By day 5, I stopped checking her social media. By day 6, I wanted closure, not from her, but for me. So I went back. Not to fight. Not to yell. To collect what was mine. To shut the door, literally and emotionally. She wasn't home. The house smelled like stale perfume and lemon cleaner. Like someone trying too hard to erase evidence. I packed efficiently. My clothes. My guitar. The folder of important documents. Then I opened the bottom drawer of the nightstand and found it. A handwritten note. Folded. My name on the front. If you're reading this, I guess you finally decided to leave. Maybe you thought I'd beg. But let's be honest, you were a placeholder for the life I wanted and never got. Dylan might not be perfect, but at least he doesn't make me feel invisible. I hope you find whatever quiet version of love you're looking for. I never did. I read it twice. Not because it hurt. Because it was pathetic. I tore it in half and dropped it in the trash. On my way out, I heard tires on gravel. Her car. With him in it. She stepped out, sunglasses on again. He had a bandage over his lip, looking like a middle schooler who lost a playground fight. She said nothing. Neither did he. Just stared like they were surprised I could walk away without screaming. I turned to her. One last time. You didn't break me, Vanessa. You freed me. For the first time, her face cracked. A flicker of something real. Fear, maybe. Regret. Or maybe she just finally realized I wasn't bluffing. I walked past them, suitcase in hand. And this time, I didn't look back. I didn't go scorched earth right away. That's what people always expect after a betrayal like that. Screaming matches, car windows smashed, online mudslinging. But I didn't give her that. I gave her silence. Cold, calculating silence. The kind that makes people wonder what you're planning. And believe me, I was planning. I moved into a short-term rental on the other side of town. 2-bedroom, 2nd floor, basic furniture, no personality. It felt like a hotel room for my recovery. No framed photos. No memories. Just quiet. I spent the first 2 days scrubbing her from my accounts. Bank passwords. Email. Netflix. Spotify. Gone. You'd be surprised how many little digital places someone embeds themselves in your life. The real move came on day 3. I called a lawyer. His name was Mark Fulton. Low voice, clean suit, no hand-holding. That's why I chose him. He didn't ask how I felt. He asked, are we going for the throat or the clean exit? Let's keep the blade hidden, I said. But sharp. There were no kids. No house under both our names. No shared debt. That was my doing. Vanessa used to say I was paranoid for keeping our finances separate. I called it protective instinct. Now, it was paying off. Mark asked me to document everything. So I did. Screenshots, texts, call logs. Even the group chats I'd found on her laptop. The ones where her friends, her sister, laughed about me like I was some sad sitcom character. He still doesn't get it. She needs a real man. Tell him you're working late, and come over. They all knew. Every one of them. People I'd had drinks with. Cooked for. Covered dinner tabs when Vanessa forgot her wallet. They knew. And they said nothing. I started cutting ties. Quietly. I unfollowed people. Blocked others. Left the group chats. The silence was louder than any speech I could have given. One guy, Jake, texted me the next day. Bro, you okay? I heard about the party. Crazy stuff. I stared at the screen for a full minute before replying. Did you know? He left me on read. That told me enough. Vanessa, meanwhile, tried playing both sides. One moment she was smug, tagging herself at brunch with friends, fake laughing in boomerangs. The next, she was texting me things like, can we at least talk? I'm sorry for how it went down. I never meant to hurt you like that. I didn't respond. Mark filed the divorce papers by the end of the week. I made sure she was served at work. It happened on a Wednesday. She was in the break room when the process server walked in. A quiet, unassuming woman in a cable-knit sweater who looked like someone's aunt. She handed Vanessa the manila envelope and said, from Brian. I wasn't there, but my friend Marcus was. He worked in IT at the same firm. He called me after. She looked like someone kicked her dog. Tried to play it off, but I've seen her smug for months. That wiped it clean. Good. Then came the real gut punch, the one she didn't see coming. Remember Dylan? The side piece? Turns out, he had a girlfriend. No, I'm serious. A live-in girlfriend. Her name was Lily. Found her through a reverse image search, one of those little tools cheaters forget exists. She had a private account, but her profile picture was her and Dylan at a cabin in the woods. Posted 2 weeks before the party. I debated it for days. Whether I should reach out. Not out of spite. Out of solidarity. If someone had told me what Vanessa was doing, I might have woken up sooner. So I sent her a message. Polite. Direct. Included screenshots. Time-stamped. Nothing cruel. Just facts. She replied within the hour. Thank you. I knew something was off. I had no proof. Until now. We talked for a bit. Shared stories. Realized our timelines overlapped for months. He'd been playing both of us. I asked her what she planned to do. Pack his stuff and leave it outside. Then change the locks. Smart girl. That night, Vanessa called. Blocked number. Straight to voicemail. Then again. And again. Then a string of texts. You humiliated me at work. You went nuclear over one mistake. You're blowing up my life because you couldn't satisfy me. That last one. I read it twice. Then deleted the whole thread. You can't shame a man who's already felt the lowest point. That slap, in front of everyone, stripped me of any illusion that I still mattered to her. That anyone in her orbit respected me. But the next week brought something unexpected. I started hearing things. From people I hadn't blocked. People who weren't in on the affair. My old coworker Anthony saw Vanessa crying in the parking lot at lunch. Said she looked like she hadn't slept in days. One of her friends, someone I barely knew but had once helped move a couch for, messaged me on Facebook. Hey, I just wanted to say, I didn't know. I feel awful. You didn't deserve that. I didn't respond, but I screenshotted it. Not because I needed the sympathy, but because it proved something I hadn't admitted yet. The mask was slipping. She thought she'd come out of this on top, with the hot new guy, with the thrill of her little secret. But now she was alone. Dylan was gone. Her circle was shrinking. And for the first time, the image of Vanessa as victim wasn't sticking. She tried to regain control. Posted a photo of her walking along the river trail with a caption, "Some people weren't meant to stay. Just to teach you strength." I nearly laughed out loud. Vanessa teaching me strength? I walked away without screaming. She screamed into the void of Instagram. Derek and I went out for wings one night, just to get out of the apartment. I told him about Lily. About the messages. The divorce papers being signed next week. He raised his beer. To quiet wins. I clinked the bottle. I don't even want revenge anymore, I said. Just peace. Derek smiled. Sometimes peace is revenge. The night before the court signing, Vanessa sent one last message. It wasn't all fake. You were good to me. I just didn't know how to want that anymore. It wasn't an apology. It was a funeral eulogy. I didn't reply. The next morning, we sat in a quiet conference room at the courthouse. She walked in looking like she was headed to a photo shoot. Tight black dress, heels too high for 9 a.m., sunglasses she wore even indoors. I wore jeans and a plain shirt. No need for drama. The lawyer read through the papers. Vanessa signed like she was checking out of a hotel. And when it was done, she stood, adjusted her bag, paused at the door. Guess you finally learned to let go, she said. I smiled. You were never hard to let go of. Just hard to believe in. She didn't have a comeback. She just left. The morning after the divorce was official, I slept in. Not out of relief. Not from celebration. Just exhaustion. It was a quiet kind of tired, the kind that sets in when your body realizes the war is finally over. I made coffee, burned the first batch of toast, and stared out the kitchen window of my rental apartment for a solid hour. No plans. No noise. It was the first time in years that silence didn't feel like punishment. I won't pretend the weeks that followed were some kind of inspirational montage. There was no sudden surge of purpose. No gym selfies. No look at me now moments. Just days. Normal ones. Long ones. I showed up to work at the dealership every morning, nodded along during team meetings, sold 3 F-150s the first week and none the next. Life moved forward, slowly, awkwardly, like a leg that had fallen asleep and was learning to walk again. Vanessa didn't reach out. No calls. No texts. Not even one of those vague, hope you're okay messages. And I didn't stalk her socials. I deleted the apps, not out of pride, but because I knew myself. I'd spiral. I'd look. I'd compare. I didn't want to give her that space in my head anymore. People think closure is a conversation or an apology. It's not. It's what you give yourself when you stop needing either. One Saturday afternoon, I ran into a guy from the party, Aaron, a former mutual friend who hadn't picked a side. We crossed paths in the freezer aisle at Safeway. He nodded at me, then paused. Hey. I didn't know what to say back then, but I saw everything. I didn't know how to handle it. It's fine, I said. And I meant it. He nodded, then added, you look better. Less tired. I laughed, surprised at how true it was. That night, I cleaned out the last of the boxes I hadn't touched since moving. One of them had old letters, anniversary cards Vanessa had given me, ticket stubs, a framed photo from our second vacation. I almost threw them away, but I didn't. I packed them into a different box, labeled it Past, Do Not Reopen, and pushed it to the back of the closet. Not because I needed to forget, but because remembering had finally stopped hurting. A few weeks later, Derek convinced me to come out for drinks. We went to a place I'd never been, not one Vanessa had ever touched. That mattered more than I'd admit. We talked about work, about the Lions' defense falling apart, about nothing. Then he asked, you dating yet? I shook my head. No rush. He nodded. Didn't push. That's why I appreciated him. He never tried to spin pain into a project. I did meet someone, eventually. Her name was Anna. We met at the DMV, of all places, standing in line, joking about the terrible posters on the wall. She wasn't flashy, just kind, real, said what she meant, asked me what I was reading instead of what I drove. We got coffee a few times, walks, a movie. It was easy, which felt strange at first. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, but it never did. We talked about past relationships. I told her about Vanessa, but not in detail, just enough. She didn't flinch. She didn't ask for more. She just said, that must have been hard. And meant it. The last time I thought about Vanessa in any real way was on a Sunday morning. I was sitting on my balcony, coffee in hand, light breeze pushing the trees around like lazy dancers. Anna was inside, still asleep. And I realized I didn't hate Vanessa. Not anymore. I didn't forgive her either. Not really. I just didn't carry it around with me. She was a chapter. A long one. Full of noise and warning signs I didn't want to read. But chapters end. And this one did. Not with a bang. Not with revenge. Just a quiet turning of the page. People always expect some big revelation after a betrayal, some perfect closure or grand transformation. But that's not how it works. You heal in unremarkable ways. A meal that tastes better than you expect. A laugh that catches you off guard. An evening with no bitterness in your mouth. A night where you sleep straight through. That's recovery. That's how you know you made it. Not because you've won, but because you've stopped bleeding.